I think this is not only obviously the biggest fight of Terence Crawford's career, but in a career that's filled with almost nothing but huge fights, this is the biggest fight of Canelo Alvarez's career.
A lot stronger, and I think he's going to have better endurance. Not being able to boil himself down like that, and even though it is a huge jump, I think we lose sight of the fact of how much he had to boil down and how gaunt he looked at 140.
You said you don't think, or you don't look into the weight difference. Why?
Well, you know how to box. When you're as skillful as Terence Crawford is, weight don't really matter much.
As the highly anticipated clash between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford draws closer, Max Kellerman has shared his closing thoughts on the matchup. Speaking as part of Netflix's premier broadcast team for this massive boxing event, Kellerman offers his trademark insight and historical context, framing what could become one of the most significant nights in modern boxing history.
A great chin. But in terms of if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford.
Okay.
But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton than Crawford. No matter what they weigh, Canelo's the bigger guy.
Yeah.
Max Kellerman isn't pulling any punches in his assessment, calling the Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford clash the biggest championship spectacle in nearly half a century. He draws a bold parallel to the legendary 1978 rematch between Muhammad Ali and Leon Spinks, a fight that drew an astonishing 90 million television viewers. According to Kellerman, Netflix's involvement transforms this showdown from a standard blockbuster bout into a groundbreaking moment for the sport, one that could eclipse traditional pay-per-view numbers and redefine boxing's global reach.
Like, where would you rank this fight out of your top 3 to 5 of all the boxing fights you've called, you've experienced, you've watched?
In terms of the magnitude of the
magnitude,
fight? Yeah. I mean, of the fights that I've called ringside, it might turn out to be number 1. I've done Pacquiao fights, I've done Mayweather fights, I've done Anthony Joshua against Klitschko, those are big fights, but listen, because of Netflix, this will be the most watched fight, championship fight, in almost 50 years. This is going to be because Muhammad Ali fought Leon Spinks in the rematch in 78, and they did 90 million TV sets. 90 million. And since then, what has even come close? The biggest fights have all been on pay-per-view, and they do 2 million buys. Oh my God, 4 million buys, Mayweather Pacquiao. As I keep saying, if 5 people per TV set watch, that's 20 million people. This is going to do multiples of that. So when you look at it from like a commercial point of view, it'll easily be the biggest boxing event I've ever covered.
During a recent press conference, fight promoter Dana White confirmed that Max Kellerman will step back into the broadcast booth as part of Netflix's official commentary team for the highly anticipated Canelo Alvarez vs. Terence Crawford showdown on September 13, 2025. Kellerman, a veteran voice in boxing best known for his stints with ESPN and HBO, will team up with John Onek and Hall of Famer Andre Ward to deliver live coverage from Allegiant Stadium. This marks a major return to televised boxing for Kellerman, who called the upcoming bout the perfect storm during the event. He praised both Alvarez and Crawford as 2 of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters of their generation, noting that while Alvarez held the title of boxing's top P4P star until recently, Crawford now earns his vote. Kellerman emphasized how rare it is for 2 athletes of such extraordinary caliber to meet in the ring, pointing out that historically only about 25 to 30 fighters have ever occupied that elite status, and both men currently belong to that exclusive group.
I want to bring up the first member of our broadcast team. He is the best boxing analyst in the sport. Ladies and gentlemen, Max Kellerman.
All right, so I know you guys are excited about this fight. but I don't think you understand what a big deal it is. This is a perfect storm, a perfect storm. First of all, Turki Al-Sheikh, we're lucky he happens to be a boxing fan. None of this happens if he doesn't happen to be a boxing fan. It's just none of us are here. Nick Khan, the best in the business. Dana White is the greatest combat sports promoter of my lifetime. And it's his first ever boxing promotion. So that's who's behind what you're going to see. You know who's the best pound for pound fighter in the world? The most recent one. Bud Crawford. Apologies to the monster and Usyk. Bud Crawford has my vote for best pound for pound. Who was the best pound for pound before Bud? Canelo Alvarez, universally recognized that way. But it's not just these two guys, the last two best pound for pound fighters in the world. There haven't been that many. Before Canelo, who do you have? Before Canelo, Floyd or Andre Ward, Floyd Mayweather. Before, you could take the lineage back. There have only been, 25 or 30 fighters who ever lived who you said that's the best pound for pound fighter in the world. These are two of them, the last two. And they're gonna fight in Las Vegas on September 13th. Canelo is 62-2 with 2 draws, 62-2-2. So was Marvin Hagler when Sugar Ray Leonard moved up to fight him and they produced one of the biggest spectacles in the history of boxing. This fight is a perfect storm. I could not be more excited to be a part of it.
Timothy Bradley Jr. foresees a cautious start when Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford meet in the ring, predicting a first round that looks more like a chess match than a brawl. In his view, both men will likely spend the opening minutes holding back, studying each other's timing, distance, and rhythm rather than rushing in. Bradley notes that Crawford has a proven tendency to start methodically in big fights, setting traps and adjusting as he goes, while Alvarez often uses the early frames to feel out his opponent before making adjustments. Because of this, Bradley advises fans to expect a measured opening round, one built on reconnaissance and patience, before the real fireworks begin in the middle and later stages of the fight.
His punching power as well. In the beginning, it's all the position balance. Like both guys are trying to get balance and trying to find their rhythm, understanding their distance to where they can punch and at the same time avoid getting hit. It takes Crawford a little bit more time than I would say Canelo to get right to it. Canelo, although he is a prolific counterpuncher, fantastic counterpuncher, he tends to find his spots a lot quicker. And the indication of that is when, if you look at any of the boxers that Canelo has faced, Trout, even Danny Jacobs, even when he fought against Charlo, you just check out the first round. He usually takes off, just feels the power, cruises, see what these guys know, couple of feints, level changes, gathering information, right? Crawford does the same and similar things. So I think the first round's going to be a real calm and cautious round by both fighters. But in the second round, Canelo's going to start applying that pressure, man. Pre-engagement with Crawford is a little bit more difficult than a Charlo, okay? And let me explain this. So pre-engagement is the movements before you get into that sweet spot, which is mid-range, to be able to let your hands go, right? Both guys are trying to counter each other's movement. Both guys are looking at each other's, hands, trying to anticipate what they believe is going to come next. During those periods right there, Crawford is one of the best at it, okay? Because he's smart, he's cerebral. Like a fighter to a fighter, we can feel when another fighter is like, oh, he's on my rhythm.
WBC lightweight champion Shakur Stevenson remains adamant that Terence "Bud" Crawford will defeat Canelo Alvarez, and might even stop him inside the distance. Stevenson has consistently praised Crawford's rare blend of speed, ring intelligence, and switch-hitting ability, saying those attributes give him a clear edge. He's even gone as far as to warn fans that Crawford could cook Canelo, hinting at the possibility of a dominant performance. Stevenson first voiced this prediction back in 2021 and has only grown more confident since, arguing that Crawford's accuracy, adaptability, and composure make him not just a viable challenger but the most logical favorite in this high-stakes showdown.
I think Bud gonna cook Canelo. I think he's gonna cook him. I think, Canelo a hell of a fighter, but I think Bud just got all the tools to beat him.
You don't think the weight difference is gonna be too big of an advantage?
I think y'all make that something, in certain fights,
Boxing makes it something, not us.
like if this was like a Benavidez, he's actually a lot bigger than Bud, so that would apply. But I feel like with Canelo, he's physically kind of big, but height-wise, he's kind of small. So I don't think so. No, I think that's possible. I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but I think it's a possibility if Canelo gets to acting out of line and not understanding that Bud could crack too. So
Terence Crawford's unanimous decision victory over Israel Madrimov at 154 pounds did more than add another belt to his collection. It reshaped his legacy. By claiming the WBA junior middleweight title in his first fight at the weight, Crawford became a 4-division world champion, entering one of boxing's most exclusive clubs. Even more historic, he's the first male fighter of the 4-belt era to become undisputed in 2 separate divisions, super lightweight and welterweight, a feat that underscores his unmatched versatility and sustained excellence. This milestone showcased Crawford's mastery across weight classes and cemented his place among the sport's all-time greats. Against Madrimov, a naturally bigger, physically imposing opponent, Crawford carried his timing, ring IQ, and defensive sharpness into unfamiliar territory. Madrimov's power and size were neutralized by Crawford's precision, patience, and tactical adaptability. The performance proved his skill set isn't confined to a single division but scales seamlessly upward. Rather than merely surviving at heavier weights, Crawford is thriving, reinforcing his reputation as one of boxing's most dangerous and complete fighters regardless of weight.
August of 2024. He spent from 2018 until August of 2024, right? 6 years at 147. Okay. And he's had 8 fights at 147. All knockouts. And 1 fight at 154, which was a unanimous decision over Israel Madrimov. So you can make a case he's actually a welterweight jumping to 168. But he did make a pit stop at 54 and became a champion. So we have to acknowledge that because that goes into his accomplishment bags. That makes him a 4-division champion. So the concern is Terence Crawford jumping up in weight. This is a weight class that Canelo Alvarez has now been in since 2020. He's been at this weight for 5 years when he made his debut against Caleb Smith. But remind you, he fought against Danny Jacobs at 160 in 2019. Then in November of 2019, he jumped to 75 and fought Sergey Kovalev, then came back down to 68. So it's doable, right? But with that said, everybody's concerned with the weight and how Terence Crawford puts on the weight. So let's explain it. As you see the new photos that Terence Crawford has leaked, Terence Crawford has lean bulked. Okay, as you see here, Terence Crawford there, right? He has lean bulked. Okay, he put the bulk on in his weight, in his legs, and in his shoulders to be able to take the punch.
Trainer Dave Caldwell has praised Terence Crawford's distinctive style, noting his effortless stance switches and precise footwork as major weapons. Caldwell points out that Crawford's movement is one of his most overlooked strengths, enabling him to create sharp angles, disrupt opponents, and control the fight's tempo. Against a relentless pressure fighter like Canelo Alvarez, Caldwell believes those qualities could be decisive. He explains that if Crawford keeps his feet active and avoids being pinned on the ropes, he has every chance to outmaneuver Canelo and steadily accumulate points on the scorecards.
When the fight got made, I've always fancied Crawford. I just think it's different. I think there's something about him. I think if you add what Crawford's good at, his brain, he can switch, he's very good as a southpaw. His judgment at distance is fantastic. His punch picking is fantastic. He's got good legs. When you add what, and he can pop. I mean, listen, he might. I'm not saying he's got the power to hurt Canelo, but he might have the power to surprise Canelo a little bit and just sting him and just. But when you look at what Crawford does well, and then I look at this version of Canelo, as Canelo's got on, his punch rate's gone down. His feet have never been the fastest, but he's always had good placement of feet. His feet aren't the fastest, and he loads up. He loads up, and he don't really like boxing at a pace. So I kind of look at that and I think Crawford can manage his way through the fight to win it on points. I think he can manage moments, tough moments. When Canelo detonates a big shot on him, he's going to know about it because Crawford's been hurt before. When Crawford gets hit, he does get hit. That's why he's exciting, but he does get hit. So that means that Canelo could land on him. I just think that Canelo will land a bomb and Crawford knows enough to tie up, to get off at an angle.
Veteran trainer and commentator Teddy Atlas has noted that Terence Crawford hasn't learned how to lose, a testament to his unshakable mindset and mental toughness. Atlas explains that Crawford's elite physical gifts, speed, defense, and adaptability are matched by an inner resilience and an unyielding belief in victory. This psychological edge, Atlas argues, is what truly separates him from other top fighters. Beyond the tangible skills, it's Crawford's confidence and ability to rise under pressure that make him so dangerous. In Atlas's view, these invisible qualities transform Crawford from merely gifted into an exceptionally formidable opponent.
Crawford, his composure gonna be like the moment a punch lands on him from Canelo.
Are you kidding me? Take that question back.
Yeah, why?
Because you're talking about Crawford.
Yeah.
He's the
weight classes.
He's the most composed guy. Yeah. What, you don't think he'll be prepared? You think it'll be a shock to him? No. You think it'll be, oh my God, I didn't realize what I was getting myself into. That ain't happening with Crawford. Yeah. He knows exactly what he's getting himself and why. He's the one looking for it. He don't have nobody with a gun behind him saying you got to go do this. He's the one. And look, it's a tremendous challenge because Canelo's a tremendous fighter and bigger and strong, and he can obviously he can punch and he can time you and he can do all the things that have made him so special. There's no doubt about it. But we're forgetting about those things I just talked about with Crawford just because he's smaller. We're forgetting that. He'll come up with a game plan where he won't let the other guy use his size. Do you remember somebody named Manny Pacquiao when he was making his bones, the first time he hit the big stage? You got all these great fighters here. It was with a guy named Oscar De La Hoya, a hell of a fighter. And everyone said, oh, it'd be too small for him. And then I said, I gotta say, I got one right. I said, how about Manny's going to be too fast for him? Oh, Teddy, the guy's going. How about he's going to be too quick? How about he's going to be like a couple of those mosquitoes and gnats at a barbecue and disrupt the whole damn barbecue? How about that? Yeah. Well, how about Crawford disrupts the whole damn barbecue?
Public opinion about Canelo Alvarez often veers to extremes, either dismissing his resume by questioning the caliber of his opponents or glorifying his achievements without nuance. Critics point to his use of catchweights or selective matchups, while Alvarez counters that the biggest fights require two willing participants. He argues that many challengers step up merely to survive rather than truly compete, and that his record reflects not avoidance but the reality of finding worthy opposition at the highest level.
It's just a fact. Canelo has fought the who's who. Sure, were all of them in their prime? No, but that's not his fault. He moved up in weight to fight some people. He sought out difficult opponents and matchups. You know, the same way we're like, oh, Floyd didn't necessarily fight some of the best names in his resume at the best time in their career. Not his fault. Floyd went up and sought people out. So Canelo's sitting there like, yeah, I don't give a shit. And he's pretty much the only guy that can really say that, right?
I feel I'm the best, and that's it. I don't focus on if the people say or put me in the first position, I'm the best. I feel I'm the best. I'm doing because I love boxing.
I call Canelo out because, like I said, he the last great fighter amongst the era that surpassed us. This is my mega fight. This is my moment.
You didn't have much interest in this Crawford fight. You were saying that there wasn't much in it for you, and you pointed out that people will say that he was too small. What changed?
I think he's one of the best fighters for more fun. No, he accomplished a lot of things too. Mexican with the American fighter is always big.
When he fights you at Allegiant Stadium,
Canelo's like, I knew the money was crazy. That's why he's like, yeah, I knew that the Mexican fighter versus the American fighter. Canelo can draw Allegiant Stadium. That's what it is. I mean, yes, there's the element of greatness involved as well. But Canelo knew he was getting a bag for this. Canelo knew that Terence had to do all the difficult stuff. Let's be honest about it. This is why I favor Canelo in the fight.
For Max Kellerman, the looming showdown with Terence Crawford isn't just another marquee fight, it's the defining moment of Canelo Alvarez's career. He notes that Alvarez has already compiled a Hall of Fame resume, capturing titles across multiple weight classes, yet insists no previous victory matches the significance of facing Crawford. In Kellerman's eyes, Crawford represents the ultimate test, an undefeated technician embodying precision, adaptability, and high-level skill. The result, Kellerman argues, will either propel Alvarez into untouchable legend territory or leave lingering doubts about whether he could conquer boxing's ultimate challenge.
One thing about Canelo is he's been in a million big events. And I'm going to ask him about this just between you and me when he gets here. Don't tell him, but has he ever been in a bigger fight than this one? Is this everyone knows this is easily the biggest fight of Terence Crawford's career. But has he ever been in a fight as big as Canelo Alvarez, who's been in a million huge fights? Floyd Mayweather, that was huge and that was Floyd, but he was young then. He was young and he wasn't going to be in front of, 50 million people worldwide. Because this ain't a pay-per-view. This is available to everybody. I think Triple G, those were big fights, but not like this.
What's your perspective on this historic matchup? Is this the defining fight of our era? And which fighter do you think has the upper hand? Share your predictions and opinions in the comments below.